Mr. Chancellor, it is my honor to present to you Mr. Gregg Saretsky, President and Chief Executive Officer of WestJet Airlines. Né à Montréal, d'une mère française et d'un père allemand, M. Saretsky a grandi au Québec et en Colombie-Britannique. Il a fréquenté l'Université de la Colombie-Britannique, où il a obtenu un baccalauréat en sciences, spécialisé en microbiologie, ainsi qu'une maîtrise en administration des affaires. Gregg Saretsky is a leader in North American aviation with a reputation for innovative management. For those familiar with his background, it is tempting to say that he was destined for his current role. His parents work for airlines, his two brothers are pilots, and he married the daughter of a pilot. There is no doubt that he's passionate about the airline industry. In fact, his career has spanned every role imaginable in the business. In 1985, Mr. Saretsky joined Canadian Airlines as a route development planner and rose through the ranks to the position of Vice President Airports and Vice President Marketing. He joined Alaska Airlines in 1998 as Senior Vice President, Marketing and Planning. He also served as Executive Vice President of Flight Operations and Marketing. In June 2009, Mr. Saretsky joined WestJet as Vice President, WestJet Vacations, before being named Executive Vice President, Operations. Mr. Saretsky's thorough knowledge of the industry prepared him very well to become President and CEO of WestJet in April 2012. For our students graduating today, Mr. Saretsky offers a wonderful example of leadership. He is known for his empathic nature and remarkable ability to connect to people. It should come as no surprise that he inspires a feeling of community among more than 9,700 employees, also proudly called the WestJetters. WestJet is known to be a caring, fun, and friendly airline carrier. Its corporate culture, led by Mr. Saretsky, is well captured in several videos that have gone viral, the most famous one being the WestJet's Christmas Miracle, which has reached over 36 million views on YouTube. You really have to watch it, but not now. After convocation, please. Mr. Saretsky's inspiring leadership has not gone unnoticed. In 2012, he was named Alberta Business Person of the Year by Alberta Venture magazine. Last year, Canadian Business magazine named him Top New CEO. Mr. Saretsky's accomplishments are well appreciated at Concordia and JMSB, where we house the Aviation Management Institute, known worldwide for its leadership development and aviation management courses. Mr. Chancellor, on behalf of Senate and the Board of Governors, it is my privilege and honor to present to you Gregg Saretsky so that you may confer upon him the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa.
I now call upon Dr. Saretsky to give his acceptance address. Dr. Saretsky.
Mr. President, Mr. Chancellor, Mr. Chair of the Board of Governors, honored platform guests, graduating class, my wife, Deb, family, friends, and chers WestJetters in the audience. Thank you. I'm truly humbled and honored to receive this award from Concordia University. I've been blessed to spend most of my life in a career in an industry that has captured the imagination of society as a whole and has been largely responsible for helping to shrink the globe. A career that has been very exciting, but also one which has taken a lot of twists and turns along the way. If you fly with us, you might recognize this card. Dans la pochette du siège devant vous, vous trouverez une carte des mesures de sécurité. Veuillez en suivre avec moi les points importants. You know, you will find that after you graduate, your life will follow a path filled with many great things, as my life has since my first graduation 32 years ago. And it may be a long time since I was in your shoes, but I'm sure that you are feeling today the same feelings I had 32 years ago. Feelings that maybe are relief, maybe feelings of excitement, and perhaps even a little trepidation. But you have accomplished what you set out to. And so before I continue, I want to say to the class of 2014, let us give you a well-deserved round of applause. Félicitations à vous tous. Congratulations. I had the safety features card because this is where I'm going to tell you, fasten your seatbelt, because your life is about to take off. And my advice to you as you pursue your path in life is to make decisions always with two things in mind. First, always pursue your passion. And secondly, learn to embrace change. Let's talk about passion. Many students have asked me, how did you get there? How does a person get to become a CEO? You know, my answer to that is always the same, and it's I don't really know. I know that it took a lot of hard work, some major successes along the way, and to be truthful, a little luck. The funny thing is, though, I never made it my life's ambition to be a CEO. In fact, my career has followed that winding road that I talked about just a few moments ago. Because the truth is, I always planned to become a doctor. In high school, I knew absolutely I wanted to be a physician, so I studied maths and sciences. When I went on to college, I pursued double majors in biochemistry and microbiology, earning a Bachelor of Science. At the end, I wrote my medical college admission test and was accepted into medical school. But the summer before I started, I had a bit of an epiphany. I'm not sure I really had the passion to do that, even after having prepared for more than a decade for that moment. And then it happened rather suddenly. My interest turned more to business than to medicine, and I scrambled to write my GMAT and get my papers in before the fall admission. Little did I know then that my change of heart would impact my life in such a positive way. But I still had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, and not really much on how I was going to figure that out either. Freshly graduated with a Bachelor of Science and an MBA, I accepted a job offer with a major Canadian bank as a commercial account manager. Some of you might be thinking about a career there as well. Let me tell you, the money was good, the perks were great, and I had 4 weeks of paid vacation my first year. After 6 weeks of training with the bank, I was assigned to a branch and allocated a portfolio of commercial accounts. I had the opportunity to work with small businesses and some mid-market accounts. Many of you who come from the West might be familiar with a store called Danya Down Home. They're a bedding and down-filled quilt manufacturer who's been in business for more than 30 years and have 16 retail outlets in Western Canada from Vancouver to Winnipeg. I was invited in one of my first assignments to see the delivery of 10,000 goslings. Goslings are those little geese from which the down is extracted that make the product for Danya Down Home. It was an incredible thing to be a young, graduated MBA seeing these 10,000 goslings being delivered under the brooder. But soon, after that delivery, I found myself analyzing financial statements and balance sheets and reviewing inventories and assessing the value of the pledged collateral. Too many of my loan applications, and this was in the mid-1980s when debt was hard to receive, too many of my loan applications were denied. And I thought, as an impressionable young banker, that the credit department really wasn't doing the job that they were supposed to, that there were some great lending opportunities that the credit department simply didn't see. Suddenly, the business wasn't what I wanted it to be, and it became just a job, and I felt as though I was just putting in time. Don't get me wrong, I love bankers, and the banking profession is a very good one. But I've learned one thing in life, and that's to trust my intuition, and my gut was telling me to move on before I got trapped by the paycheck and the perks, and there were many of both. I quickly found a new job in the finance department as a financial analyst in the planning department of Canadian Pacific Airlines. The pay was less, the vacation entitlement was half of what I had at the bank, but the free flights were pretty good. And from planning flight schedules to planning aircraft financing, I was fortunate to get a taste of a wide variety of jobs at the airline and became very interested in the business. Long hours flew by, work assignments became great adventures. Learning opportunities presented themselves at every turn. Whether it was planning an expansion in Latin America or Asia, developing a better business class, or calculating more efficient restock levels in the supply chain, the assignments were interesting and rewarding. My work eventually took me south of the border to Alaska Airlines, and I spent a decade there before returning to Canada 5 years ago to take up this role at WestJet. I've been fortunate to have had responsibilities for doubling a business, for growing outside our geographic territory, and now leading a team that has won more awards for its culture and business model than all of my previous employers combined. It's been fun. It's been exhilarating. And working with an airline has been a great partnership for me personally. Along the way, my family and I have visited 260 cities in 38 countries and enjoyed the pleasures of experiencing a multiplicity of new cultures and exploring new landscapes. I'm pretty sure this wouldn't have happened if I hadn't pursued my passion. I'm convinced that the thing that has kept me going and excelling is I love what I do. You've got to find what you love. Your work is going to be filled with great excitement, and it's going to fill a large part of your life. And the only way you can truly be satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. Regret is one of the most unfortunate words in the English language. Finding your passion will allow you to live your life with as few regrets as possible. So let's talk about change. The world around us is changing. That's a statement that's been true for centuries, and yet each generation reaches a point where change is challenging and difficult to accept. Our world is in a constant state of flux. Change is around us every day, and as young adults, you must embrace that change. I took a moment to think back to what I was going through, what I went through at university, and some of the changes that surprised me. When I was in university, there was no internet. The notion of information being readily and quickly available at your fingertips without a trip to the library and exploring hours in the stacks is a relatively new thing. And yet, this is the world that you know, and likely the only one that you know. Guess what? There were no personal computers when I was in university, at least not the type that I could afford or carry in my backpack. Personal computers, the smallest of them, was the size of a fairly large sewing machine. And in fact, when I first got to Canadian Airlines in 1985, we sent our handwritten memos and our letters to the steno pool. Those have become redundant today. The steno pool was a group of employees who would then transpose what you handed to them in writing. You may have seen a typewriter in an old movie. Maybe you've seen one in a museum. But they don't exist today. You know what else? There were no smartphones. Many, okay, all of you, will take some selfies at some point today, won't you? And you'll share them with your vast social network and friends and family, perhaps even around the world. And they will share with you a like or a comment or a retweet. None of this existed a generation ago. Later this year, WestJet will become the first airline in Canada to provide satellite-based Wi-Fi access on board its entire fleet. Even 5 short years ago, this would have been unthinkable. Soon, you will be taking selfies at 40,000 feet, trying to fit you, your friends and family, and perhaps a view of the Hawaiian Islands from that WestJet aircraft into your selfie. And from 40,000 feet, you'll tweet it around the world instantly. You know, the world is changing quickly, and I don't bring up what I've said to make me look old, which I'm realizing I'm doing a pretty good job of right now. And I'm sure many of you are thinking, what? No Facebook? I bring it up because one of the biggest challenges that companies face today, ours included, is change management. Getting employees to accept and embrace change is tough. Somewhere between where you are now and where I am now, we lose the desire for change. We become comfortable with how things are and concerned with what might be if the world we know changed in some fashion. There are companies, industries in fact, dedicated to assisting organizations through change, something that goes on around us every day, which in some circumstances we embrace, like the internet, and then others we resist. Many of you, probably most of you, won't remember what was once one of the world's largest companies, Smith Corona. The once mighty typewriter manufacturer has become all but redundant because they failed to keep up with the changing world of portable computers. Society today, employees today, must keep pace with that change that's going on in the world around us, or we risk ourselves becoming irrelevant, failing. I don't have to answer now how you must be more accepting of change. That's something that you will figure out for yourself. But perhaps the remedy for our aversion to change is curiosity. We enter the world as curious infants. You've attended Concordia as curious students. Never lose your natural curiosity. Be a student for life. And I think we will have a better chance of embracing that change in our lives and being successful with it. Finally, let me wrap up by sharing 5 lessons from my life that have helped me pursue my passions and embrace change. Lesson number 1, develop a good plan. There is no substitute. Students, you must have a plan for your life. A good plan with flawless execution will get you 80% of the way to your goal. Life happens, but don't be an innocent bystander. Build your plan, then pursue it with passion. Life lesson 2, break the rules. Paradigms hold us back. Use creative destruction to liberate yourself. Just because it's always been done this way doesn't mean it shouldn't or couldn't change. Apple broke the rules on how we listen to music, and they've become one of this decade's biggest success stories. Lesson 3, don't be afraid to fail. If you never take risks, you most certainly will never achieve lofty goals. It's okay to fail. John F. Kennedy said, "Only those who dare to fail greatly can ever achieve greatly." Lesson 4, and I'm sure you've done a fair bit of this over the last many years, work like hell. Long hours, weekends, whatever it takes to get the job done. Family, school, the job, figure out the right balance for you, but expect to work hard to get ahead. Remember, for every promotion that you are pursuing, there's at least one other individual who thinks they're better for that promotion than you. Lesson 5, perhaps the most important, develop a caring heart. Recognize people for big and small. Be compassionate. Show you care. Look for ways to let people know that you appreciate them and what they're doing, and make sure to celebrate your achievements along the way. As you leave behind the professors and the classrooms of Concordia, remember, keep looking, keep following your passions, and don't settle. You may not know what it is today, but you'll find it. Have the courage to follow your heart and your intuition. Take some risk. Mark Twain said, and I quote, 20 years from now, you'll be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the things you did. So throw off the bow lines, sail away from the safe harbor, catch the trade wind in your sails. Explore, dream, discover. And so now as you graduate, I wish that for you. Explore, dream, discover. Don't worry if you don't know exactly what to study next or what work to pursue. Follow your passion, work hard, embrace change, and things will fall into place as they should. And along the way, you'll continue to learn, develop skills, find mentors, and come to understand that success comes to those who follow their passions. To all of you, best wishes. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Dr. Saretsky. You know, WestJet is renowned for its very special employee culture, which has become synonymous with its brand promise and is really a true differentiator for the company within the airline industry. I think we all know that. But culture, you know, is derived above all by inspirational leadership, which starts at the top of the company or the organization or the non-for-profit, whatever that might apply to. Now, the number one job of a CEO, and it's been said before, but it's good to remind ourselves of that, or of a leader, is to promulgate, to defend, and to uphold the culture of that organization. Dr. Saretsky, a proud Montrealer by origin, is truly an exemplar in this regard. His behavior and brand of leadership does us proud, and I know will inspire all of you graduating class of 2004 as you go forward and assume leadership. And in that sense, I think that Gregg's 5 lessons or 5 recommendations, which he's humbly providing you today, is going to serve you well. I like to say to folks such as you that you're the CEOs of your own career. Trust yourself. And if you're going to fail, as I said earlier, fail upward. Fail while you're stretching. Trust yourself. Thanks a lot, Doctor, for your wise remarks and very inspirational speech. On behalf of everybody, thank you.